at least for now, the instructors are very much involved, and some of the other staff. Kate is kind of everywhere, and some of the other moderators and admins that they have. But I mean, they'll be like getting involved in answering questions. Like some people have questions of, what is this exercise good for? Why are we doing this? And you'll just have the instructor come on and answer it. And I think that's fabulous. I mean, I don't think I've seen that before. And it's just, it's nice to be able to chart your progress, but also share it and, get motivation from other people and see them progressing as well. It just, even though it's nice to have your own setup at home and not have to be nervous to work out in this way around other people, it's nice to feel like you're part of a community or team while you're doing it.
Time to hit the gym, better do it smart. Get your own coach, there where you are. Start the day right, there in your home. With the smartest gym in the world, ready, set, go. Smart panel, smart bar, smart training, there you are. Customizing it right, AI, form advice. Superset will show you what it's all about. It's a total workout.
Welcome to the Superset Podcast, episode 41. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. So before we get too into things, we should probably point out, if you're hearing this show on or before March 24th, 2022, we're going to be in the Miami area, which I should have also prefaced, and if you live in the Miami area.
Well, it's too late now.
So if none of those things apply to you, I am completely wasting your time right now. But if those things do apply to you and you would like to have one or both of us waste your time in real life, this is your time to shine. So we're going to be meeting up at Monty's Coconut Grove.
Oh, thank God you remembered the name of it.
Yes.
I couldn't remember.
At 6 p.m. Miami time.
And that on the 24th.
On the 24th, which is the Thursday. So if you live in the Miami area, we'd love to see you and say hey.
Yeah, come on out. Let's talk tonal and probably some Peloton.
Probably. There's probably a lot of people in that Venn diagram who are in both circles. But yeah, so we just thought we'd throw that out there that we're going to be in Miami and we're going on a cruise and we're getting a day early so we don't miss the boat.
Yeah, literally.
Yes. So anyway, what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
We are going to talk about Tonal's first Strength Institute Summit, which I am so excited about.
Yeah.
We have tips from Coach Brendon, new features, new content. There's all kinds of things to talk about.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find a podcast. You can find us while you're there. Be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. And maybe if you would be so kind, you could leave us a review so people who come along after you know that we're worth checking out.
Yes, please.
And we have a new review.
Ooh, yay.
This says, couldn't be better.
Oh, wow.
Which I don't know about all that. It probably could be better. Yeah, but it says, I've listened to Crystal and Tom and the Clip Out Peloton podcast for several years now. So when I decided to get a tonal and knew they started this one, I had to jump in and they didn't disappoint. From coach interviews to new feature releases to tonal in the news, if it's happening in the tonal world, you're likely to learn about it first here. Listening to them is like hanging out with your good friends, chatting about a favorite topic. They are pros at this, and their banter is funny. 2 enthusiastic thumbs up. Mojo Mike Rockwell. So thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
That is very kind of you.
So kind. You're so sweet.
Yes. And also, don't forget we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/Superset Podcast. While you're there, like the page, join the group. And of course, don't forget we have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/The Clip Out, which is the name of our aforementioned podcast. But everything lives there under one umbrella. So come on in. The water is fine. Can you tell I have a cruise on my mind? So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Look who's talking about tonal.
So the first ever Tonal Strength Institute Summit will be on March 30th. How exciting.
So exciting.
What does it mean?
I don't know. But I know I'm really excited about it.
And also very bummed. We were invited to attend, but we just couldn't make that date work on such short notice, and we had kids, and we're traveling for this other stuff, and PTO is limited. But but hopefully this is the first of many, and we can go to the many.
We're hoping that's going to be the case, because if it is, we will be there.
Absolutely.
And I also hope that like they just like always plan on the same time of year, so we can just like
get in a little rhythm.
Yeah, that'd be great. But okay, so a lot of people are comparing this to Peloton's homecoming, but I think that's kind of an unfair comparison. And the reason I think that is because this feels like so much deeper. And what I mean by that is this seems to be about several things, like digging into the science behind what makes tonal work.
Right.
And like why it's so cool, not just like Peloton came from an awesome, great place too. That was like from the community. Hey, we all want to celebrate together. That's where that came from.
Right.
But this seems to be coming from let's look at how awesome this machine is. Let's look at the community. Let's look at all of the instructors and highlight what they do. Like, it's just like a totally different feel, which I really appreciate and admire, that they didn't just take the easy route and copy.
Right.
That's easy to do.
It absolutely is easy to do. People do it often.
Yes, they do. And Tonal never does that. They always take the high road, and I really appreciate that. But at any rate, this is going to be a virtual event, obviously, with COVID still being all wonky. It's kind of hard to get everybody in one place. So they're going to have it on March 30th. It's going to be in the morning live. There's going to be all kinds of things happening during the day, and it will be guest speakers, and they will be from the advisory board that consists of the Tonal Strength Institute.
Awesome.
So, for example, I've been going on and on about Stacy Sims. Tom, you're probably really tired of hearing me talk about her.
No, not at all.
I'll talk about her book later. But at any rate, Tom has heard a lot about Stacy Sims, and she is going to be one of the speakers. There's going to be other members of the advisory board talking about things they're working on, all this behind the scenes. Plus, there's going to be breakout rooms, and there's going to be virtual avatars of the instructors, which I think is going to be amazing. Plus,
so it's like a Saturday morning cartoon on a Wednesday morning. I
want to see how they draw Coach Jackson. And will his biceps each say Taylor and Swift? As a side note, though, I think that one of the things I'm most excited about is that Tonal knows how competitive we are. So there's also going to be a leaderboard for those of us attending. Now, don't sweat it if you can't attend. Go ahead and sign up, because the recordings live out there for 30 days on demand. So you're going to be able to check it out.
Awesome.
Yeah. Very exciting. I'm really excited about this. Can you tell?
Yes, I can. So Coach Brendon Ayanbedejo, I'm just proud of myself because I feel like I can say that one right.
Okay.
So I just like to say it.
Okay.
Had an interesting post this week about just your strength score and how to make it even higher.
Yeah. So first of all, he's working on getting his strength score over 2,000. Some of us would just like to hit 1,000. But here's the cool thing about Tonal. It honestly doesn't matter, because it meets you wherever you are, whether you're 200 or 2,000. And all of us deal with the same challenges as we try to increase our strength score. So he was talking about the last 18 months. Here's some tips that he learned. Okay. He said, this is the most important one. Reps. If the weight isn't challenging enough, do additional reps so Tonal increases your weight. And he's like, don't do it all in the first set, but if there's 10 reps and you can do 15 and you're not burning yourself out, do them. And that means that the following set, your weight's going to increase. And that's how you know you're going to get a volume PR. Also, look for opportunities to go heavier. In all the variations of the deadlift and a lot of the core movements, you're stronger than you think. So you got to hit all your reps, and then do some AM crap, not an AMRAP, an AM crap, which I love. As many clean reps as possible. That's really important, because you want to make sure that you're still able to do your form. Who cares if you're getting more reps if the form sucks? Because you're not really getting, that's not helping.
It doesn't count.
No. So that's very important. AM crap. Also, when doing a program, set your volume increases every time you repeat the same workout. That way, even if you're only adding 1 to 2 reps on every set, boom, you're automatically increasing.
Okay.
And he also talked about power and volume at the bottom, your left-hand corner, right-hand corner. It shows you the two different graphs every time. If you can keep your power above that 80% and also try to hit, you can also try to get power and volume PRs within sets.
Good to know.
How cool is that?
Yeah. You know, you were talking about crabs, and I do a lot of something I call crabs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so
tell me about that.
Sure. That's when you're like, hey, Tom, did you remember to empty the dishwasher? And I'm like, crap.
Yeah, I do hear a lot of those.
Yeah.
You do a lot of those. Yeah.
That's why I'm in such good shape.
Yeah.
My relationship strength score is 7.
That's not true. It's way higher than that.
9?
I don't know. What's the scale?
Infinite.
Then no, you're still way low.
Also, there were a couple interesting tonal blog posts this week.
Yeah, you might have missed this. This was from earlier in March, and this is about a tonal transformation. Melissa Ritter, she was able to share her inspiring story with the tonal team. And so I guess she was featured, she posted rather last year on the official tonal community page, and she talked about like all of her results and stuff. But now it's been 13 months. She has dropped 90 pounds.
Wow.
How incredible is that?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. Congrats to Melissa.
And while we're looking at the tonal blog.
Yes, Lindsay Horan. She is the U.S. Soccer Female Player of the Year. And she talks about how she took her dream and turned it into a reality. Also, tonal user. You know,
that?
So when you're out there on the leaderboard and you're checking yourself out, it's just pretty cool to think of all the amazing athletes that you are sharing that leaderboard with.
More and more every day.
Yep. It's pretty dang cool.
New tonal content.
So once again, there is even more new content for people to check out.
There sure is. We've got some new quick fits. A Coree Off The Floor with Coach Nikki. 13 minutes of a standing ab workout. Hello. Back for more. Advanced upper body. Only 11 minutes, but you are going to feel every minute of it with Coach Paul.
You skipped one.
I did?
You went over, you did Coree Off The Floor, but you didn't do Coree On The Floor.
I think I combined them together.
Yes.
Oh, no.
The floor needs equal time.
Coree On The Floor is with Coach Trace.
Yes.
That's 15 minutes, and it's going to be a rapid fire core session. This one's going to use all floor exercises, and it's going to keep the transitions short.
Okay.
Then there's yoga, Just Flow with Coach Jake. 17 minutes, all levels, full body, so anybody can join in. And then there's Connect and Breathe with Coach Francis. Again, all levels, but check this out, 63 minutes.
Oof.
So that's an amazing opportunity to try out some yoga. And then that was all for that particular week. So more coming. I'm sure more is posted today because they posted every Monday.
Gotcha.
So I bet
Yeah,
Kate posted. She probably is posting right now because that's when we're recording.
Yeah, we recorded a little earlier this time because of our trip.
Exactly.
Tonal Talks.
So not technically a tonal talk, but it's tonal talk adjacent.
It is, yeah. So over in the Tonal Moms, it's going to be Coach Amy and Coach Liz. They're going to be talking about all things sex and pelvic floor health for your strength, function, and pleasure. So I understand not everybody feels comfortable talking about that. That's okay. The other thing is they're going to be taking questions, and you can have, they have a link that they have included that you can submit your questions anonymously. But I believe that it takes place today.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be same day we're recording, so it will probably be living.
It will be living by the time you hear this. But yeah, I this feels like one of those can't miss. You know, people have questions about this. I know it's not always the most comfortable to talk about, but it's a thing.
Absolutely. And don't go make it weird, boys.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
Tonal Book Club.
So you wanted to talk a little bit more about the book of the month, Roar.
Yes, I did. Stacey Sims.
Yes.
Okay, so I have been reading this book and I'm having a hard time putting it down. There is so much. I just feel like I've read some, I've skipped some. I read a lot of books, so I don't always I feel like I can fit it in.
Right.
But I have to say, to me, this book is a cannot miss book for women. It talks so much in depth about the differences between men and women, things that I thought I knew that I didn't know. And if I can learn that much, I cannot be the only person that's learning this brand new information. So
what sort of fun, cool stuff have you learned? Or maybe it's not fun. Sometimes you learn things and they're not fun, but they're still good to know.
That is true. Well, the part that I'm in right now talks a lot about the menstruation cycle. So I'm not going to get like graphic or detailed or anything. But what I will say is during the actual, the part where you're having your monthly cycle, like the part that people talk about the most.
Right.
That is fascinatingly enough when a woman is most like a man from a hormonal standpoint. And so I just kind of find that fascinating. And like, so from a fitness standpoint, right? Because that's when we have the most testosterone in our system. Just little things like that.
Yeah.
Like that's fascinating. And things that can help with cramps and things that can help with PMS and the bloating and all the things. Like there's so many helpful hints in this thing.
So what I'm hearing for the men who have women in their lives, if you're frustrated with your woman at that time, it's because she's acting like you. She has to deal with you acting like that all the time. To be fair, I think you're more talking about the PMS, and that's when our estrogen apparently is the highest. Testosterone happens when it actually, like, I see.
Things happen.
Gotcha. When you get the visit.
Yes. When the visitor occurs.
And honestly, what we're doing right now, isn't that part of the problem?
It is part of the problem, right?
That everybody talks around it and won't actually address it.
To this day, I hide tampons like in my hand. I like shove them up my sleeve or I like tuck it into a pocket or like do some crazy maneuver to get from point A to the bathroom so that nobody can see. Even in my own house, I do that. Like it's ridiculous.
I remember the first time when I was going to the grocery store and you're like, would you maybe mind picking and I like, it's okay if you don't. I'm like, well, it's fine. Like, it's fine. Like,
well, my ex-husband did not think it was fine.
Look, here's how I've always looked at it. Ever since I was like 19, right? Like every guy wants to brag about having sex, right? Well, what says you're having sex more than buying feminine hygiene products? Because you don't buy that for a woman you're not having sex with.
That is true.
In fact, I bet you it's a better indicator than buying condoms. Well, bought lots of condoms that never got used.
What about, wouldn't there ever be a case where you might need to buy it for like your sister or your mom?
I can't imagine my sister or my mother ever asking me to do that. I'm not saying that it's wrong if they did.
Just your sister and your mother would not.
Yeah, like, and I would think most people would probably not feel comfortable asking their brother to go buy that.
Yeah, it's,
and again, not saying it's right.
I mean, like you said, that's part of the problem. Like we all are just uncomfortable with it.
Well, look at right now with the Pixar movie Turning Red.
Oh my gosh!
Like, they reference the fact that, hey, 51% of the population has this thing happen to them, and people lost their minds, or some people have lost their minds because it gets referenced, like in a movie about a girl going through puberty. It's not even the topic of the film, but it's referenced in passing that the mom thinks this is what's going on, and people are like, you can't put that in a kid's movie. And I'm like, well, but your kid needs to know at some point, right? Yeah, well.
Well, it's up to everybody how they want to handle their own kids.
Yeah. So anyway, you like Roar and Stacey Sims.
Love it. Love her. Wish I could be in the thing to see her in person and meet her. I would love that. Maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
Checking in with the Tonal community.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Alon Nager. Hey, Alon, how's it going?
Hi.
Great. How are you guys?
We're good. We're good. For the people listening, they may not know, but we've actually known you for a long time through the Peloton community. We had a chance to meet in person, and you have now joined the Tonal community. I'm curious how you originally first found out about Tonal and decided, like, this is definitely something I want to do.
So a lot of my friends were posting in the different groups about how they got a Tonal, and then you started seeing their stats pop up and, how they were reaching these amazing milestones. And, I just started talking to some of my friends and, basically we had a big bare spot on the wall in the house and we were looking for something to put there. And, the Tonal is just such a sexy machine. It just kind of, no, really though, what happened was so because of the pandemic, I shifted to working from home and we had decided to finish our basement and build a home office, a proper home office for me. And so we decided that we wanted a gym as well. And, all my friends were talking about Tonal. I started talking to my wife about the Tonal and she wasn't really on board with it. So we had just literally paid off another very expensive machine, the tread. Like literally. Yeah. So, because there was a burning hole in my pocket and this empty space in the new gym, I started talking to her about it and I was like, well, just chat with Tonal and see, what happens from there. And sure enough, I ended up ordering.
It's like whenever I go to...
Which is why I won't let her go look at puppies.
Hey, that happened to us as well. We did that too.
We would have like 45 puppies in the house.
We would.
And that's 44 too many.
We have one. Neither of us ever had a dog before. But yeah, it was the same thing. I was like, should we get this puppy? Looks really cute. He's in Iowa, but they fly them in. And she's like, well, let's think about it. And I'm like, boom.
You're like, so here's the thing. He's already on a plane.
He's midair. You can't say no now. How sad would he be if he landed and he didn't have a home?
He already selected his in-flight meal.
He's watching his in-flight movie right now.
Yeah. It's Air Bud. He's watching Air Bud.
I really thought it was A Dog's Journey.
It's a little on the nose.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Alon's like, do you need me for this? I can check back later. Well, you guys riff on my dog. Or do we rough on your dog?
Yeah, I'm going to go take a shower real quick.
Okay, so now, does your wife use the Tonal at all? Or is she like anti-Tonal?
No, she's been using it more than anything in the gym. So
she came around.
She did. She definitely. I don't think she understood. I really don't think either of us really understood what was coming. We were just like, this is really cool. And it looks like it does all this cool stuff. We can do it at home. And, the big thing for me was, we're building this gym and I wanted, this is going to sound crazy, but I didn't want the cord dangling down to some outlet. So I'm like, this is the perfect time because like they were literally doing the electrical and they put the box right where the Tonal specs sheet said to put it. And I was like, this is awesome. So what else are you going to do with a plug that's like, 2 feet off the ground?
Right? Yeah. It's got one purpose.
Exactly.
Well, I'm glad she came around. It's a pretty amazing machine. I'm curious what you pictured. Like, I think this is important for people who are thinking about a Tonal and haven't like made the jump. I'm curious how you pictured it.
I spent a lot of time, obviously, with the Peloton bike and tread. And the big thing for me, I tried to make the jump into their strength programs and they're fantastic, but I'm really data driven and milestone driven. And I think what was lacking for me, at least at that time, was just being able to see progress and having structure. And I think that the big thing for me with the Tonal is that, you have these programs where you repeat, you're basically told what to do and you see how you're growing. And that's a big deal for me because I came into this with very little knowledge of strength training. It had always been kind of the last thing on the menu in my entire life. I was a track runner and cross country runner in high school. And we had like one day in the gym. And we kind of just sat around and said, this is a waste of time. Let's just go run. And the coach would always say, well, it's really important to do strength training, even for your upper body, because it helps with your running. And so, fast forward to more current, I ran a marathon in 2020, my first one. I ran a half before that. I was never really a distance runner. So I tackled those things. Those were big milestones for me. But then I really wanted to focus on strength training to try to get, better at my running game because I had heard so many great things. And I really struggled to do it on the Peloton, but with the Tonal, it's really, I'm really impressed with the progress that we've both made on the machine. So.
Yeah. When you talk about gym class, it's like if you were in the weight room where I went to high school, it pretty much meant it was raining.
That was the only time you guys were in there.
And this huge weight, they're like, that's for the football players. But if it's raining, then I guess you can dick around on this for 45 minutes.
Well, I think they had even like less time for females because when in my high school anyway, we live in the Midwest. And so that means football is like uber important. So you had the guys who worked out all the time on the gym equipment, but they were doing that for football. And pretty much the rest of the school didn't get to use it. So because it was for the football team. So every great once in a while, I think it was like I did that twice in high school. We got to use some gym equipment and they had a video to show us girls how to use the weight machines. And that's.
Do they have a pink weight machine for you?
No, because why would they have two?
They did for me.
They did for you?
They had me using. Yeah. It's football at my school. This is true. The football team was so bad. The football team, I feel like a Johnny Carson joke. The football team was so bad. How bad was it? They once aggressively tried to recruit me.
I mean, that's
how bad it was.
If they knew about your T-ball days, they wouldn't have even tried.
I'm like, is there someone standing behind me that I'm not aware of? Because clearly you can't be directing this question to me.
So now you mentioned in one of your posts, Alon, that you had kind of been uncomfortable with weights. So what made you decide like this is going to be different for Tonal?
So when we moved into our current house, there's a 24-hour gym, literally like we could walk there.
Oh, nice.
And so we joined that and we were going pretty religiously, but I was really just going there and running on the treadmill and watching guys lifting weights and, it was all, I mean, they had some machines. So, every now and again, I'd get on a machine and probably do everything wrong possible and hope that no one was looking, like literally reading the instructions about like, how do you use this thing? And,
pull this thing here, add this thing there.
But it was like, there was no consistency. It's like, how do you know what weight to start at? Like, what are you pushing for? There was like no real motivation. There was no repetition. So I would just find myself on the treadmill all the time. And, we had kids and then we stopped going. And then, we started going in the direction of having things at home. I think the difference with Tonal for me is that, again, there is that structure to it. The programs make you repeat exercises and you can see, the data on yourself. You could see, workout 1, I was here. And by workout 4, you're up here and you get, the nice PR, the Pavlovian dings when you, when you get a PR and you start salivating and stuff like that. It all it helps. And then you also have this awesome community and instructors that are really, I came into it thinking that it was going to be a lot like Peloton, and it's really not. And then that's not a bad thing for me. And people told me this. I think you told me this when I think I talked to you at one point about Tonal, or maybe you posted about it. And, you and other people, I think, were saying, don't expect this to be like Peloton. And I'm like, but it kind of looks like it's gonna be like that. So I didn't get it. You know what I mean?
It's such a different like dynamic because, and I don't think it's tonal versus Peloton. I think it's cardio versus strength, because cardio lends itself to like the playlist needs to be in sync and everyone can be doing the same thing at the same time. Whereas strength training, it's like, you might be lifting something a lot heavier than I am, and maybe you're even lifting a lot slower than I am because it is so much heavier. And so
it's more customized.
Exactly.
Where Peloton or cardio in general can be more uniform.
Yeah. So it's just a very different feel and it needs a very different type of instruction. Plus, there's a much higher learning curve to weightlifting because I feel like there's a lot of people that like myself, like you, Alon, that are like, I don't know what I should be lifting. And even if you have the right weight, like, should I do 10 reps? Should I do 12? Yeah. Should I do 20? I don't know. You're literally guessing. You have no idea. And so I think there's that learning curve where if you're riding a bike or you're even running, it's like if you're running or you're biking, you're good. Like it doesn't really, yes, you can improve during certain things. Don't get me wrong. But if you're moving on the bike or the treadmill, you are making progress, period. It doesn't take a lot of instruction to do that. So I think there's some really big changes, differences in those two things. And that's why it comes across so differently.
Yeah, I mean, they complement each other wonderfully, in my opinion. I use the tread more right now than the bike, but I'm using the tonal as much, if not more than the tread. And that's with me training for a race right now. So
that's great. That's really good because you're getting a great, getting that support of your muscles to be able to be ready for race day. So that's good. A lot. I mean, I know you kind of joked about it at the beginning, but like so many runners don't spend enough time weightlifting. And it's so important to, if you want to improve your speed, it's not just going faster. Like doing the strength training can have a huge impact on your speeds.
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing is I can't think of a race that I did where I wasn't injured at some point in the training process. And it varied from, just like aches and pains to like I was out for some time, and knock on wood, but this time I haven't had any injuries. And I think that's probably at least partly attributable to the tonal and just, being in shape that way. I'm sure
that
that's
makes
true.
Total sense.
What marathon are you training for? We should have started with that. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I'm training for the New York City half, which is in about a month. Oh,
wow. So you're down to the end.
Down to the wire.
Yeah. Are you getting nervous?
I ran one live half marathon before in Vegas. So this is like the second time, but it seems like it's been many years because of the pandemic. Every race that I've done since then has been virtual, which means that I was basically running myself.
And everything feels a million years away because I keep saying last year and it's no longer 2020, and I keep saying like it's 2021 because I feel like we've skipped 2 years of our lives. So it feels like forever, if nothing else, because of that.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've like dated like I was at the doctor the other day and I'm like 2020 on the forms. I'm like, oops. And it's like almost March now and I'm still doing this. It's pretty wild. Usually it's like once or twice in January, that I do it, but
really,
it's weird times. It's very weird times. So how has the process of training been for you as compared to what that process looked like before? So I know you said you're integrating both of them, but like what does a typical week look like with a workout?
So right now I'm doing Divide and Conquer with Coach Jared, and I'm about halfway through that, and I sprinkle in some of the live classes just to kind of throw some mystery into the mix, because you do those live classes and I try not to look ahead, because when I do that, I'll be like, maybe the 9 o'clock one sounds better because there's like, Bulgarian split squats in the beginning. And I'm like, I don't really know if it's a Bulgarian split squats type of day.
Yeah.
It never is.
It's never. That's the answer. It's never going to be a Bulgarian split squat day.
Or pillar bridge with row.
Oh, right. Both of those are so tough. Yeah. And like, they're so good for you. And you're right. Like, if you know ahead of time, you can talk yourself out of it. It is better to just jump in and not know. And just go for it. Just do your best.
Like, I have leg day with, in Divide and Conquer, and I know what's coming, and I'm like, yeah, but I do it. But it does help to have the live sprinkled in there for some different days. But I try to run, probably not running as much as I should be, but I get the long run in on the weekend, and I do, 1 or 2 tread classes. So that's kind of how I've been doing it. Before, it was just all running, like 4 or 5 times a week. With bike, I was just doing that stuff. And if I did any strength, it would be, like an arms, on the bike kind of thing for toning, but nothing like this ever.
Have you seen any results? Like, can you tell performance wise or even like aesthetic wise things that are changing?
Well, I think the wife started looking at me a little different lately. Like, and I was on a Zoom call. I have a group of friends that we do like happy hour every week. And I just happened to be on last week, and there was a friend that hadn't been on for a while, and she came on and she's like, man, look at those biceps. And I'm like, so, that's right. All good.
Yeah. Did you start flexing? Were you like, or did you start flexing on the Zoom call?
No. I'm shy about that stuff. Like, I'm just, I know it may not seem that way, but I am. Like, I'm not really like huge, when I go to the pool and stuff, I'm not like just walking around with my chest up high and everything. Yeah. I've kind of been like, I'm kind of a pale guy too. So,
I get it.
I just look like I flew in from, in the middle of winter to Florida, and I haven't seen the sun in 10 months.
You're talking to 2 Irish people that live in the Midwest. We get it. We get it. Yeah.
I don't really go around like flexing my muscles or anything, but I've definitely seen a lot of changes in the body, and I've seen, I've actually gained weight, but I've learned to stop looking at that because I don't think it doesn't matter as much to me anymore. And it really did before tonal, but now I understand that, with the strength training, that's just going to be fluctuating. So I don't pay much attention to that. I do really like the milestones. I'm close to 1 million pounds. I think I'm going to hit that in the next week or 2.
That's awesome. Yeah. Congrats.
Thank you.
It's a huge milestone. The second million goes way faster.
It does.
Yeah.
Does it?
It does.
Yeah, because you lift more now, right? Like, you have 1 million pounds of lift of getting stronger. And so that second goes like really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't hit mine. I only know that because of Tom's, but
it took me like 1.5 years to hit my first million, and then like it was like 4 months later, it was,
he was like 2. I was like, 2. Dang.
And now I'm closing in on halfway to 3.
So yeah. That's fun. That's exciting.
And he's over there like, oh shit, if he's getting there that fast, I'll be there in no time. He's like, I need to go look at my tonal. I might have hit it during this conversation.
One thing I noticed is when you hit a milestone on tonal, I don't know if this was just when I did, but I think when I hit 500,000 pounds, I think like that whole entire week was like one of the first weeks they did live classes. So I just happened to go on a lot of them, and every class they were like, Pelotor milestone 500,000 pounds. And I was like, I got shouted out the last class, but I mean, hey,
I'll take it.
I'll take it. Exactly. Keep them coming.
It's like the early days of Peloton. It's like the early days of Peloton. It used to not be that difficult to get a shout out. Now it's like, winning tickets to Foghat in the 80s.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's,
yeah. I love that about Tonal. I love going on the live classes and getting a shout out. It makes me so happy.
And it's like you have a chance to, I think this is a big difference is, there's random shout outs on Peloton, but then on Tonal, there's still random shout outs, but most of the time it's because you've hit a PR in a class, which is a lot different because you really can't do that. At least not now on Peloton, but on Tonal, if you have a volume PR, a power PR, a strength PR, they could shout you out for that. So I thought that was really cool that they incorporated that too.
I totally agree. I think that makes it a lot of fun. And I like hearing whenever people get like all three at the same time. I'm always like, dang. And I'm always like high-fiving in between. Then I run back over, get back in where I'm supposed to be. But
you like crawl off the floor and you're like,
yeah,
not you, man.
Right. It happens more frequently at the beginning of class, so. So what is your favorite aspect of the Tonal?
That's a tough one. I like shout outs. I don't know if you can see, but I wore this shirt today.
And for those at home that not watching, it says, I'll do it for shout outs.
So that's always fun. I kind of like the fact that you can choose your own music.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that they added Amazon Music, and I don't use it, but just some different options for, if I want to listen to metal, I can do that now without tuning out the instructor completely.
Yeah.
And I think, the big thing for me again is just being told what to do. And because there is no way that I would ever pick to do some of those things. And by the way, lateral bridge with row is a worthy contender for worst exercise that I like.
I haven't done that one. Is that one of the new moves they added? Because I haven't done that one yet.
It is, and Coach Woody seems to love that one. So
oh, Coach Woody.
That sounds like something I would replace. Like that's just. Lateral bridge with row for me sounds like on your face, and then Crystal yells at me because she hears I hear
the Tonal make noise.
She hears the handle snap back because I lost control.
I'm like, what are you doing to my Tonal?
Yeah, that just sounds like me getting yelled at.
Which is why. So yeah, you can't replace moves on live classes yet, Tom. So
see, I haven't done any of the live classes.
Yeah, he's never home during the day because they only have Pacific times. They have times like late at night, but then that's not usually when we work out. It's late at night for us, so he never gets to do the live classes. I do them though in the middle of the day.
Because your job allows for it.
I love it. Finally.
Yeah, working from home is great.
It is. It's a game changer. I love it so much. Now, do you told us that right now you're doing a program and you sprinkle in the lives. Is that kind of your go-to most often, or do you do one-off workouts sometimes? Like, do you go through periods where you switch?
I have not done that yet. I've gone from program to program to program with the.
He's like me.
Yeah.
I could tell. I knew that was going to be the answer you're like, I want to go down and be told what to do, and I don't think about it.
Yeah.
And picking a workout every time is too much.
It is.
I just want to go down and just hit yes, next class, go.
Yeah.
I think the only time I chose a couple, off Tonal classes. I haven't really stuck with that yet. I'm still trying to figure out how to do that, but I took one of Woody's kickboxing classes, which was really good. And I took a yoga class and decided that I wasn't very good at yoga. So I haven't been back yet, but
if you're not good at it, that means you need it.
Yes.
I made that mistake with dance cardio. I'm just like, Never again. I am now like John Lithgow in Footloose. There will be no dancing in this house.
Like, seriously, they cannot program classes slow enough for me or apparently Tom to do any kind of coordinated.
Yeah, unless like waltzing can be dance cardio, I don't think I stand a chance. Like,
and imagine doing that in a gym, right? Like that's
no way.
Never.
Funny enough, way back in the day, I used to take like Zumba classes and things like that, but I always stood in the back. So it was like not that bad, you know, but we did have like one of those fishbowl kind of things. So like then that meant that I was like, my back was to the room of the rest of the gym, but I didn't have to see them staring at me and like, what the, you know, so I didn't have to see it so I could pretend it wasn't there. But yeah, I have no coordination. I once took a step aerobics class and the teacher literally stopped the class to tell me how bad I was and sent me to the back. So that's how uncoordinated I am. Yeah.
When I was in college, I needed a gym credit. And by the time, because I had to switch classes, and by the time I went to register, there was one gym class left, which was advanced yoga. And I was like, how hard could this be?
Right.
So I went to my first class and I went through the whole thing and I'm like, that wasn't, I'm sure I didn't do great, but I don't think it was terrible. And the teacher came up and was like, you can't be in this class. It's like, you don't know anything about yoga. You're awful. Just you're getting kicked out.
Wow.
I had the same thing happen to me, but it's algebra.
We are some superstars right here.
Pretty amazing. So do you have any advice for people who are just now getting their tonal besides choose where your outlet goes?
Which is a good one.
Yeah, no, it's going.
Like, it would really bother me. I don't know.
It would bother me too. We were lucky. Ours is really close, so we don't have that. So I get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
My advice, I would say to definitely start out with a beginner class. I liked Coach Jackson's beginner strength. I thought it was pretty tough, but I think he took the time to really go through, some of the form and some of the basics there. So I didn't take any other intro courses, but I really liked that one. And I would say to, try everything and see what you like. It has so much to offer. I think one of the things I would like to do is, as much as I love the programs and the live classes, I should probably get away from that and, try some other things on their menu as well. I think, I would get involved with the community. It seems like they're more on Facebook than anything else. I would definitely do that because, at least for now, the instructors are very much involved, and some of the other staff. Kate is kind of everywhere, and some of the other moderators and admins that they have. But they'll be like getting involved in answering questions. Like, some people have questions of, what is this exercise good for? Why are we doing this? And you'll just have the instructor come on and answer it. And I think that's fabulous. I don't think I've seen that before. And it's just, it's nice to be able to chart your progress, but also share it and, get motivation from other people and see them progressing as well. It just, even though it's nice to have your own setup at home and not have to be nervous to work out in this way around other people, it's nice to feel like you're part of a community or team while you're doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. Before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find you if you would like to be found.
So I am Pelotor on most things, but on Instagram, I am Pelotor78 because someone else took Pelotor, amazingly enough. But on Facebook, I'm Alon Nager, my name. I don't have any, code name or any, alias.
No aliases.
That's not how Facebook works. So that makes sense.
It does.
If you're on Facebook with it, then it's weird.
Well, I have to say, in some instances, it makes sense, because if you use Facebook only for things like Tonal or Peloton or whatever, you only want to be in certain groups. Maybe you don't want your family to find you. Maybe you don't. or your
people
friends.
from your past.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not judging.
I get it.
Maybe you've posted some questionable things and the Facebook police have come to get you.
That's a thing.
I don't know how I've dodged that bullet this long.
I don't either.
Me either. I mean, some of the stuff I post, I'm just like, wow, did I post that just now?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next time, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram and Twitter and the Tonal leaderboard at ClipOutCrystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/Superset Podcast. And also don't forget, we got a YouTube page if you want to check that out, youtube.com/The Clip Out. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep lifting.
Smart handle, smart bar, smart training. There you are, customize, make it right. AI, form and vibe. Superset will show you what it's all about. It's a tonal workout.
The Superset is made possible in part by support from Tonal.